Hello to everybody joining me. I'm Erin, and welcome to the Virtual Education Intervention Podcast. The name should give it away, but I'm here to educate, encourage, and entertain families and teachers who live and work with neurodivergent individuals. And yep, you guessed it, my primary location for education is virtual. Sometimes we all just need a little more community, and we benefit from having people in our lives who understand how we live, how we work, and what our minds are consumed with daily. We need support and encouragement within that space. If you're here, welcome to our community. Welcome to the Virtual Education Intervention Podcast. I am so thankful that you're here, and I want to welcome you, whether you've listened to other episodes or you're just tuning in for the first time. My name is Erin, and sometimes when I record these podcasts, I like to envision that I'm connecting with people and I'm speaking to a large group in an auditorium, or in the world of technology we live in today, that I'm speaking to a Zoom room full of people. But it's an opportunity to smile and connect and engage with other like-minded and like-experienced individuals. So we recently completed a series on executive function skills and the impact that it has on the academic and non-academic areas of our lives. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that series, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to previous episodes. I am so thankful for everybody that has already listened, and for those of you tuning in to listen to this episode as well. We work so hard for our kids and our students that sometimes we need to pause and catch our breath. That is this episode. We're going to focus on encouragement for parents, family members, and educators because we work so hard supporting our children. But I know for a lot of us, myself included, that sometimes we need to just push that pause button, take a deep breath, and get some encouragement, or remind ourselves that it's all going to be okay. So that's this episode. We're going to take a moment today, set down the strategies, put aside the checklists and the goals, and just focus on connection, presence, and the value of being instead of doing. So this content and information can apply to our students, our children, our family members, but it can also apply to us as parents, as caregivers, and as educators. So before we dive in, first I want to acknowledge the work that goes into supporting children and students and even adults that are neurodivergent. We have IEP meetings, we have assessments, we have interventions, we have therapy appointments, we have tutoring. There's constant research, right? We're always going down rabbit holes. That's just the tip of the iceberg. For many families, there are duplicates of these interventions and these therapies and these tutoring. Maybe your child has speech therapy and occupational therapy and physical therapy. Or you have to schedule all of these assessments and you have to get a lot of people together for IEP meetings. This work is extremely important and very valuable and worth it, but it's also challenging. It is hard work, whether you're the teacher or the educator, the administrator, or if you're the parent or if you're the therapist. If you're in any of these roles, it's incredibly rewarding and valuable, important work. And so I want to acknowledge that. But it also means that that comes with a large mental load. Whether you're the parent, the teacher, even if you're the student, we're tracking progress. We're thinking about long-term goals. We're coming up with strategies to get from here to there. And we're ultimately worrying about what independence looks like for our children. So let's recognize the heart behind this effort, because that's an incredibly important objective, goal, task, all of those things. The work that we do with our kids is incredibly important. And I want to recognize that. But I want to take it further, and I want to recognize the heart behind this effort. That is a deep love and desire to help our kids thrive. Now, I would imagine that most parents have this desire for all of their kids, whether they're neurotypical or neurodivergent. But when we work specifically with our neurodivergent students and neurodivergent children, this can come with a few caveats. It can come with extra worries and stress and strain on the way that we think. We kind of learn to live in a different world with some of our kids, where we have this deep love and desire to see our children thrive. And we know that in order to do that, they need additional support. But sometimes in all of the doing intervention, in all of the doing therapy, and all of the being consistent in our strategies, we forget to see and enjoy our kids and allow them to feel enjoyed and to feel seen. Allow our kids to feel seen and heard, and allow them to feel like they are enough just the way that they are. Now, interventions and accommodations, of course, they matter. That is the bread and butter of how we support our kids. They do create access. They do create confidence. They create dignity. They're incredibly important. So I want to acknowledge that value. Many teachers, many families, many students get burned out because they do that work so much and because they care so deeply. We're going to talk today about a little bit of a pause, about the being instead of the doing. So I want to emphasize that if you decide to pause something, even if it's working, it doesn't mean that you're giving up. It also doesn't mean that you're slacking. It means that you're reconnecting with the why, and more importantly, you're reconnecting with your child or your student. So I want to share this kind of main idea of the podcast today. And that is that your child's value is not tied to their behavior chart or their reading level or their progress or whether or not they met their annual IEP goal. Your value as a parent or an educator is also not tied to whether they accomplish those things. Your child's value is there regardless. Your child's value is there because they're your child. There's this sense of being loved and being valued for who you are, not what you do or what you can accomplish. Now, of course, I would think we would all come from that place or all kind of say, well, yes, of course, my child knows that they're loved, or of course I do all of these things out of love. And I really believe that we do. And yet sometimes we get caught up in the accomplishment that's always the main focus of conversation or of scheduling. And it's easy to get burned out and to feel tired or to feel like, man, I really don't get to enjoy my child as much as I want to because we're busy doing, trying to grow, that I don't get to enjoy my child being where they're at right now. My kid doesn't get to enjoy being a kid where they're at right now because we're so focused on growth. Now, don't get me wrong, growth is amazing. And I'm going to share a little story in a minute about my own daughter's growth this week. And growth is valuable, and it can make our heart soar, and it can make us want to just like bawl our eyes out because we're so proud because we've seen the effort that's gone into this growth. And yet, I want to recognize it is equally important to cuddle on the couch with your child, or to play Minecraft with them, or to laugh at their favorite joke, or to read their favorite graphic novels with them. Simply let them be, let them stim without correction. Sometimes, in the name of progress and growth and consistency, we tend to correct our children a lot. I know I do it. I try to be really intentional about not correcting every speech error that my daughter makes in the name of consistency. No, sometimes she just needs to talk. And if she makes an error, she makes an error, and we'll correct it later. And we'll have intentional time where we practice those sounds, but sometimes she just needs to be a kid who talks. We need to delight in who they are without necessarily framing it as progress or the need for progress. Now, I've shared a little bit about our journey before, and if we recently had to make a few decisions about the work we've been doing with our daughter. So if you haven't listened to previous episodes, I have 3 daughters, 4 children, 1 son and 3 daughters. Well, my first daughter, my second child, she has apraxia of speech. Sometimes it's called childhood apraxia of speech, or CAS. This can sometimes impact other areas of coordination as well. So essentially, apraxia of speech means that the muscles in her mouth did not naturally develop to make the correct sounds. And so she's had to learn over the course of probably 5, almost 6 years of speech therapy, how to make the muscles in her mouth move correctly in order to make the sound that she wants to produce. When she was 2, 2.5, her speech just didn't develop. And yet she was getting extremely frustrated and had all of these attempts at verbal communication. And so it was only once we started speech therapy, and I'm incredibly grateful for the gifted speech therapists we've had in our lives, that her speech started to develop. Now, her apraxia of speech impacts mostly her oral motor movement, and yet sometimes I see the impact in other areas of coordination. For example, when she's trying to learn to do a cartwheel, or she's learning to swim, right? She's kind of got the motion, she's got the general idea, but she's not quite there yet. Her rhythm is just a little bit off. She's not confident in water yet. And so although she's done swim lessons all year, water kind of continues to be one of the main areas of challenge for my daughter because she's not confident in it. So in addition to working on her articulation, she's conversational now, which is amazing. But in addition to working on articulation for speech, she's also in swim lessons, and she's just struggling with her confidence in the water. And we've done a lot of work on that over the years, really. But she refuses to be fully underwater. And at this point, any sensory issues have kind of turned into this large fear for her. It creates an intense anxiety. So one of the goals that my husband and I have for her, and really for all of our kids, is increased water safety, right? That's why we're doing swim lessons, and we're doing private one-on-one swim lessons. And she's made a ton of progress, right? There's that word, progress. She's baby stepped so much growth this year, and I'm so incredibly proud of her. Though she's not there yet, the growth she's demonstrated has been amazing. In her last swim lesson before summer, she swam on her own without holding on to a floaty or her instructor or having a life jacket on. She swam on her own for a few feet for the first time ever. She did not have any tears. I did. I was sitting on the bleachers just about to blubber because I was so proud of her. But when we discussed swim lessons over the summer, we were originally going to take a break so that everybody could kind of have a reset. We'll go swimming in some fun pools and we'll practice there. But the coach wasn't really available, and we thought this is a great opportunity to practice these skills in, a natural environment. However, our coach recently reached back out with the suggestion to continue over this summer so that we didn't lose the progress that we made. So initially, I was thrilled, right? This is not a coach that specializes in neurodivergent individuals, yet she really seems to understand my kids. So I was excited that she saw both the growth and the progress and that need for retention. She didn't want to see any of the regression. But when my daughter seemed discouraged by it, I was a little bit convicted about the perception that she has to spend extra time working on some things that others don't. Maybe it's not really a perception, it's reality. But she's never once complained about speech therapy or occupational therapy. She's always willing to work hard. She's not easily discouraged with many things. So when she said, why do I have to keep going when nobody else does? My mom's spidey senses kind of started to go off. I thought about how much of the work she does is to intervene something, is to grow in a certain area. My daughter needs to feel that she's not always working on a skill deficit, that she's good at some things, that she can do things she enjoys just because she enjoys them, not because we see a need for growth. So we decided to pause for the summer, but kind of fit in random as the schedule allows swim lessons because your coach thinks you're doing awesome. We framed it in a really flexible and positive way, which for us this summer is exactly what she needs. And she said, yes, awesome. I'm so glad. And wow, my coach thinks I'm doing awesome. But this got me thinking. Sometimes we as parents and as educators need to give ourselves permission to relax, to sit back, to let our kids be who they are, and to enjoy them for who they are. We need to let our kids feel relaxed. We need to allow our kids to do things because they enjoy them and to be in the moment. Now, we recognize the incredible benefit that summer can offer for consistency, for growth, for intervention for students. And we welcome that and we encourage that. But if you are in a place where you need to pause on summer activity, you need to pause on therapy or intervention or lessons, you are not failing your child by relaxing for a little bit. You are showing them that they're loved just as they are. Now, kids and adults internalize what they hear and what they feel. When every moment's about growth, they might wonder if who they are is enough. So we need to ensure, even when we are in a season of heavy intervention, that we are verbalizing and we are showing and we are allowing our kids to know that they're enough. Even if this is a heavy season of lessons and intervention, we can be intentional about ensuring that they know, hey, my mom loves me, my dad loves me, my educator cares for me. This is how they're telling me that even though I have this skill that I'm working on, I am still enough. I am still loved. I still get to do things that I enjoy just because I enjoy doing them. Our children, whether they're neurodivergent or neurotypical, deserve to feel seen and celebrated in their natural state, not only when they need to meet a goal. That long-term impact will build emotional safety. It builds trust, it builds resilience, and it builds self-worth. One of the ways that we're really trying to work with our daughter is to help her understand the areas that she has control over. So when she's in the bathroom and she's taking a shower and she's washing her hair, in the past, I have typically washed it for her and she's learning to wash it herself. She's learning that she can control where the water goes and whether it gets on her face or not. She can control how she reacts if it does get on her face. When she learned how to ride her bike without the training wheels, she learned pretty quickly that if she just puts her feet down when she feels unstable, she can control the situation. And that sense of being in control can really build resilience and self-worth and confidence. And I think that's what so many of our children need. Oftentimes, they need to develop this confidence and this grit. And I would argue that our neurodivergent children are going to have that grit. All of our kids need it. We know the world that we live in. As adults, we need to have that resilience and that grit. And that's something we can model for our kids. But based on the experiences of our neurodivergent children and the interventions and the therapy and all of the extras that they do, these are opportunities that they're developing grit over time and just by the nature of what they're walking through. So we've talked about that importance of intervention and strategy and consistency. And we've talked about the importance of just allowing our kids to be and to feel loved for who they are and not a goal that they accomplish. So how do we do that? I think as parents and educators, we're kind of hardwired to feel like we need to make progress. But here are a few ideas for an agenda-free connection with our kids. Whether you're going to be outside or inside, one-on-one time with no objectives. Summer's a great time to get outside because the weather is so nice. Spend time outside riding bikes or drawing with sidewalk chalk or blowing bubbles or going and being together doing something that you love. But there's no objective, there's no goal, there's no, in the meantime, we could work on active listening. Or, man, we could do this, and at the same time, we could integrate these strategies. And I'm not saying that's wrong, right? Some stuff are just going to be embedded into who we are and how we do things and how we interact with our kids. But maybe, aside from spending time together and keeping our kids safe, we have no other objectives. Maybe we're going to watch our kids' favorite show or listen to their favorite music with curiosity? Do they love a new band? Ask them about it. Do they love playing Minecraft? I have zero interest in Minecraft, but my kids love it. And they get so much joy out of showing it to me that I watch them and I ask the questions because it's important to them. So, what can you do with your kid that's going to invite that kind of relationship? Maybe you can let them choose the plan for the day. Educators, this might be a really great one for you when you're building relationships with your students, offering those choices. Maybe they can't plan the whole school day, but maybe you can give them a brief window of time and options. And this is your opportunity to spend time together building that relationship. Maybe you and your child or you and your student just need to sit quietly in peace and read together or read individually together. It is okay if you need to take a break from a heavy season, if you need to skip a week of sessions or a month of swim lessons or whatever you're doing. This isn't about giving up. It's about filling your cup and filling theirs in a different way. Because we know that there are heavy seasons of important intervention and learning and growth and progress and goals. And those are all beautiful things. But there's also the idea that we love our kids for who they are, not what they accomplish, and we want them to know that. So not every moment together with our kids has to be about making progress or has to be geared towards a goal. And maybe that's just me as a parent and a special educator. That's the world that I live in. Perhaps it's not something that everybody struggles with. But if you do, if you struggle with feeling like you're doing enough, or you struggle with measuring every moment with your child about the things that they need to work on and your stress or your worry about it, I want to offer this word of encouragement. You are doing enough. You are enough, and your child is enough exactly as they are. Now, we know that the work you do is important. 1000%. We're doing it too. We're right there with you. But sometimes our kids just need to know that they were created on a purpose and for a purpose exactly the way that they are. Now, that doesn't exclude growth. We always grow as people. We're called to learn and grow and seek. But at the same time, our worth and our value exists because we exist, because God created us and He loves us. It's not rooted in accomplishment. It's rooted because we are children of God. And our kids get that from us. They're loved. They know they're loved because of our love for them, because they're our child, not because they accomplish an IEP goal. So however we communicate that, it's so important. So whether we communicate by saying, you know what, I really think you need a break. We're going to take a week off. We're going to take summer off. Maybe it's, you know what, let's look at how God created you. You're so beautiful. Here is your strengths. Let's dive into the things you're really great at, alongside the areas that we're going to work on together. So I want you to share this episode if you have somebody that you know that maybe needs a little bit of permission to take a break or permission to feel encouraged and to encourage. I don't know if you need that or not, but sometimes it's helpful if somebody says to me, hey, Erin, I give you permission. You don't need it. You don't need my permission. But if it's helpful to kind of kick that guilt trip back to the curb, you have it. You have permission to just be without the need to accomplish. Just be with your kid without the push for them to perform. So I hope you share this episode with friends or family or educators that you know that might also benefit from somebody nudging them and just saying, you know what? If you need it, you have permission. Now I want to just take a minute to shift gears a little bit and actually offer a sneak peek into upcoming podcast episodes. Now, coming up, we have a topic that you may be interested in sharing with friends and families that live across the United States in different states. Did you know that if you homeschool in a number of different states, that you actually have access to thousands of dollars? This money is just waiting for you. It can be used for different things, including tutoring or intervention services or social activities like sports or athletics. This money is already set aside for you. It's not taking it from anywhere. It's kind of already sitting in the pot just waiting for you. So don't leave the money on the table. We know that intervention and resources can be costly. And so this is money you can use to put towards your child's needs. Now, we're going to do a deeper dive into this in our next episode. So I hope you come back for that one. And I hope you share permission with friends and family. And I hope you share next week's episode as well, because there's some really good, juicy, valuable information in there. So I look forward to connecting with you next week. Now, I so very much appreciate you listening to the Virtual Education Intervention podcast, and I am thankful that we are a part of a supportive and understanding community. Erin Lecter Hand Coaching is a mission and vision-driven small business designed to support you. As a team, we provide virtual intervention and education to break down barriers and create access to research-based tools that empower neurodivergent individuals. By addressing challenges specific to neurodiversity, our sessions foster growth, resilience, and self-confidence, equipping students and adults with the skills they need to thrive. We envision a world where neurodivergent individuals are empowered to embrace their unique strengths, knowing they are created on and for a purpose. Through innovative virtual interventions, we strive to build a future where every learner feels valued, capable, and confident, while fostering a shared joy in the journey of growth, discovery, and success.